The stars were never meant to feel so close. At least, that's what Lieutenant Aaron Callister thought as he hovered above the luminous plains of Nyrus 7, a planet whose surface shimmered like liquid silver under the twin suns. The mission had been classified, standard reconnaissance for the United Earth Coalition, but the planet's anomalies had drawn a different kind of attention. From orbit, he saw it, a structure that defied both human architecture and physics. Smooth, flowing lines that seemed to bend light and shadow around themselves, hovering slightly above the ground as if the planet itself revered it. The human shuttle touched down with a gentle hum, disturbing the silver plains only minimally. Aaron stepped out, helmet sealed, the air inside purified for human lungs. And then he saw her. She was standing at the threshold of the floating structure, her form illuminated by the sunlight that refracted off the building's surface. She was tall, impossibly slender, with skin that seemed to reflect the cosmos itself, dark as space yet shimmering with distant stars. Her eyes were galaxies, swirling with colors no human eye should be able to distinguish. Aaron's first thought, entirely against protocol, was that she shouldn't exist. Yet here she was, staring at him with curiosity, as if she had been waiting for him, or someone like him. "Welcome, human," she said, her voice melodic, vibrating slightly in the air around him. "I am Seraphine." Aaron's training kicked in. "I'm Lieutenant Aaron Callister, of the United Earth Coalition. I come in peace. We mean no harm." She smiled, and it was like the sunrise exploding across 1,000 worlds at once. "Peace, yes. That is good." She stepped closer, her movements effortless, like she floated over the ground. "You are unlike the others." Aaron frowned. "Others?" She paused, tilting her head, and for a moment he saw not just beauty, but intelligence far beyond human comprehension. "Yes," she said softly. "They come from everywhere. From every star, every planet. They seek me. Yet you are different. You do not seek me. You merely exist. And that intrigues me." The days that followed were surreal. The Nyrus 7 atmosphere was breathable, though thin, and Aaron and his team were allowed to explore under her watchful gaze. Seraphine did not speak to them much at first. Instead, she guided them silently through corridors that seemed alive, walls that pulsed gently as if the structure had a heartbeat. Aaron noticed the others in his team becoming restless, even obsessive. Some whispered about gifts she might bestow, or technology she could reveal. Others speculated about immortality. But Aaron remained normal, or at least as normal as a human could be in the presence of a being who could bend reality with a glance. He did not try to impress her. He did not ask for power or knowledge. He simply walked beside her as she led them through her world, observing, learning, and sometimes just talking. It was during one of these walks that Aaron realized he could feel her thoughts. Not in words, not consciously, but as ripples of emotion. Loneliness, curiosity, sadness, and hope. "I am old," she admitted one evening as the twin suns dipped below the horizon. "Older than your sun, older than your galaxy. And yet no one has ever stayed with me. Not truly. They come for power, for knowledge, for desire. But they leave, eventually." Aaron hesitated, unsure if he should speak. "Why me?" Her eyes, swirling with stars, met his. "Because you do not seek me. You do not want anything from me. And yet, I find myself drawn to you." He swallowed hard. "That's impossible." She tilted her head again. "Perhaps. But the impossible is a matter of perspective." Weeks passed, and the dynamic on the planet shifted. The rest of the team became more desperate, more demanding. Whispers of discontent rose like storms. Aaron stayed calm, observing them, but he knew it was only a matter of time before the situation turned dangerous. Then, one night, a shimmering portal appeared in the central chamber of her structure. From it emerged beings that glowed with intense light, far more powerful than Erin's team, or even Seraphine herself seemed capable of. They were her suitors, travelers from distant galaxies, creatures of immense power and beauty, each one seemingly more perfect than the last. Seraphine. One of them spoke, voice like thunder. We have come.
Choose.
We offer you eternity, influence, dominion. All you need do is take one of us as your companion. The chamber glowed brighter as more emerged. They all looked at Erin with amusement, curiosity, and a hint of disdain. A human. Of all creatures in the cosmos, a human. Seraphine's voice was calm, but her eyes blazed. I do not seek dominion. I do not seek eternity. And I certainly do not seek power. I seek understanding. I seek connection. I seek one who is willing to be vulnerable with me. Erin's chest tightened. He knew what she meant. He knew she meant him. And yet, the danger of the situation pressed against him like the weight of 1,000 worlds. One of the suitors laughed, a sound like meteors colliding. And you, little human, you think you can compete with us? With beings of galaxies and eons of existence. Erin swallowed, hands shaking. I don't compete. I just care. The words were simple, but they carried more weight than the most elaborate display of power any of the alien beings could summon. For a moment, the chamber fell silent. Seraphine's gaze softened, and she stepped closer to Erin. The light from the suitors dimmed around her, as if their power faltered in the face of something deeper. You could have anyone, one of the luminous beings said, incredulous. Why choose a fragile, fleeting human? Seraphine's smile was gentle, yet unyielding. Because he sees me, not as a prize, not as a tool, not as an anomaly to be conquered. He sees me. The choice was made. With a single gesture, Seraphine sent the suitors back through the portal, their protests fading into the void. The chamber returned to calm, the stars reflected in her eyes brighter than ever. She turned to Erin. You understand, she whispered, that by choosing you, I bind myself to mortality in ways I have never known. Erin shook his head.
No, you are not limited by me.
You're choosing us. Choosing connection. That's real. That's worth more than anything else. She reached for his hand, and when their fingers touched, the cosmos itself seemed to sigh. The shimmering plains outside seemed to bend around them, the twin suns reflecting in 1,000 hues across her skin. You will need to teach me, she admitted, about humanity, about love, about... Her voice trailed, uncharacteristically uncertain. Erin laughed softly. I think we'll figure it out together. Days turned into weeks. Erin and Seraphine explored not only Nyrus, 7, but also the inner galaxies, traveling through star lanes and nebulae aboard her vessel, which responded to her will as though it were alive. Every world they visited, every species they encountered, Seraphine remained enthralled by the human way of thinking, feeling, and sometimes erring. And Erin? He learned to read the subtle currents of her thoughts, the emotions that ran deeper than the stars themselves. He learned patience, resilience, and a kind of love that defied time and reason.
It was not easy.
Others in the cosmos could not understand the union. Some tried to intervene, warning Seraphine of the fragility of humans. Others tried to tempt Erin, offering him wealth, technology, and power. But the bond between the human and the alien endured, proving stronger than the most advanced forces in the universe. One night, as they watched a binary sunset from the crystalline cliffs of Nyrus, 7, Seraphine leaned against Erin, her head resting on his shoulder. You realize, she said, voice quiet, that you could have chosen any other being in the galaxy to journey with. Aaron smiled, brushing a hand through her hair that shimmered like the night sky. I could have, but I didn't. I chose you. Her eyes sparkled with a mixture of joy and relief. And I chose you. Against everything, against all the power and knowledge I could have had, I chose you. Aaron squeezed her hand. Then we've made the right choice. Together. The stars above seemed to pulse in approval. And for the first time in millennia, Seraphine felt something she had long thought impossible. Home. It wasn't the vastness of the universe that mattered, nor the power she could wield, nor the eternity she could claim. It was the warmth of a hand in hers, the courage of a human heart, and the understanding that love, real, uncalculated, unmeasured, was worth more than all the galaxies in existence. And so, on the silver plains of Nyrus, 7, under the gaze of twin suns and swirling constellations, the alien girl, who could have had anyone, chose a human. Not because he was the strongest, the wisest, or the most powerful, but because he saw her, really saw her. And in that seeing, he gave her something no being in the universe had ever given her before, a chance to be loved for herself, not her gifts, not her beauty, not her legend. Aaron looked at her, eyes bright with wonder and affection. So, what now? Seraphine smiled, radiant and serene. Now we live together. And maybe, in that, we conquer more than any empire ever could. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting a cascade of silver and gold across the plains, Aaron knew that the impossible had happened. They had chosen each other, and that choice, fragile and human though it might be, was more powerful than the cosmos itself. The stars witnessed it, the universe held its breath, and two hearts, one human, one alien, beat in unison, beginning a story that would stretch across galaxies and time itself.